Today in the Texas Tribune Weekend Insider. Problems have plagued the Obama administration's Weatherization Assistance Program. A year into the federal stimulus program, Texas had been forced to sever contracts with providers and conduct fraud investigations, and not a single home had been weatherized. But today, despite attacks on the program from Republican leaders, Texas's program has quietly gotten back on track and has surpassed its home improvement goals. Reporter Becca Aronson has that story. As towering electricity-generating wind turbines spring up across the West Texas landscape, few realize that there are still thousands of old-style water-pumping windmills left in the state. A very small number of Texans still practice the rare and dangerous profession of windmilling, climbing, cleaning, and repairing these relics. Reporter Kate Galbraith introduces us to a family that has been windmilling for more than 100 years.
The Weatherization Assistance Program uses government funds to install energy-efficient measures in low-income households, and it's intended to put Americans to work. Normally, it has a budget of $300 to $400 million a year, but as part of the stimulus package, Obama added an extra $5 billion to their budget. Texas had been doing a pretty good job of implementing the Weatherization Program and hadn't encountered many problems, but they had a 55-fold funding increase with the stimulus package. When a lot of these providers that received all the extra stimulus funding, they didn't have the contracts in place or the employees trained to actually weatherize the homes. Most of them were really small providers that were used to weatherizing a few hundred to a few thousand homes. So they didn't have the contracts in place and they didn't have the employees trained to actually do it. Originally, Texas blamed the delay of the program on the federal government because one of the requirements of the Stimulus Act was that all the programs had to use wage rates provided by the Department of Labor. And Texas didn't receive those wage rates for the Weatherization Program until December of 2009. Now that the stimulus program is on track, Texas has actually weatherized about 7,000 more homes and has $65 million remaining left in its budget. The executive director said the program's actually been a success, especially in promoting awareness of weatherization, so that people know that they can save money by installing these measures on their own homes. And many of the workers who were hired to work for the stimulus program now have adequate training to go and take these skills to the private sector.
Well, windmilling is the practice of repairing old-style windmills, the kind that pull water up from the aquifers under the earth. These windmills, they need oiling, and they're the actual part that pumps water out of the ground needs repair. Usually they say about once a year. So these guys kind of go around. They're called windmillers, and they go around fixing old windmills. There's clearly still a need for them, but not as much as, say 100 years ago when, the guy we went out with, his grandfather had started doing windmilling in the 1890s. But, clearly there's still some of these pumps powered by wind, but closer to homes where you can get electricity, there's no need for windmills, but still out in very remote pastures there is. These are guys, they're mostly guys. They're really out in all kinds of weather. They say it's a really kind of a challenging profession because, you're working on windmills, it's hard physical labor. You've got to be aware of lightning, wind, rattlesnakes, all kinds of potential hazards sort of on the Great Plains, but they love it. They wouldn't do anything else. They tell me we get to see places that nobody else ever sees. Windmilling is very embedded in the folklore of Texas and the Great Plains. Windmills were what enabled the settlement of this fairly arid area of Middle America called the Great Plains. And so lots of ranchers were out there sort of tinkering on their own, and the big ranches had multiple windmillers dedicated to kind of going around and fixing the windmills. It's really one of these great legendary professions that built America.